I never used to dread the 4th of July. Back in the 90s, it used to be my favorite holiday. People were happy, families were outside together, and the fireworks always lit up the summer sky like it meant something. But in 1998, that day stopped being a celebration for me. It became the day I lost my daughter. Her name was Chloe. She was 9. Small for her age, but loud in spirit. She had this way of looking at things that made you see the world differently. She once said fireworks looked like flowers made out of fire, bright, blooming, and gone too fast. That year they were holding the town fireworks in Miller Park. We lived in a small town in Ohio, so everyone was there. It was the kind of event where you run into people you haven't seen in years. Chloe wore her favorite red sundress, the one with the tiny daisy buttons on the straps. She picked it herself and twirled in front of the mirror for 10 minutes before we left the house. We got there early and laid out a blanket under one of the big oak trees. Chloe liked being near the trees. She said it made her feel like she was in a secret place, a hideout away from all the noise. The park was packed. You could smell grilled onions and kettle corn in the air. Kids ran around with glow sticks, some waving little American flags. The air was thick with summer heat and laughter. I remember thinking how perfect the evening felt. The fireworks started at 9 p.m. sharp. The first one shot up into the sky and exploded in a giant red bloom. Everyone tilted their heads up. I did too. And then I reached down to grab a juice box out of the cooler. I swear I looked away for maybe 10 seconds. When I looked back, Chloe wasn't there. At first, I thought she'd just stepped away, maybe to watch the fireworks from a different angle or maybe to look for a better view. I stood up, called her name, looked around. No panic yet, just confusion. A couple sitting nearby noticed me looking and asked if I was okay. I told them I couldn't see my daughter. They stood up and helped me scan the area. After a few minutes of walking in circles and calling her name, I felt it, that cold flush through my whole body. That feeling every parent fears. She was just gone from sight, like smoke drifting away. I found a park volunteer and told them I lost my daughter. Within minutes, others were searching. People started flashing lights into the trees, asking nearby kids if they'd seen a girl in a red dress. Then a woman came forward. She said she saw a man in a police uniform walking with a little girl, hand in hand toward the tree line. The girl had brown hair and was wearing red. That detail hit me like a punch in the chest. We asked her if she was sure. She said yes. The man looked official, like he knew what he was doing. Walked with confidence. But something didn't sit right with her. She thought he looked too clean. When the real police arrived, they asked for a description. Tall white male, around his late 30s, maybe early 40s. Thin build. Brown hair. A mustache. They radioed around. Checked with all departments in the area. No officer matched that description. No one was supposed to be at the park in uniform except 2 deputies, and both were accounted for. The search began that night and continued for days. They used search dogs, helicopters, and dozens of volunteers. They searched the woods, the nearby river, even backyards in the surrounding neighborhoods. They found absolutely nothing at all, not even a trace. Not a shoe. Not a piece of cloth. Not a strand of hair. It was like she had vanished into thin air. I spent that whole first night at the edge of the woods, yelling her name until I lost my voice. I didn't sleep for 2 days. I refused to leave the park. I kept thinking maybe she'd walk back out of the trees. Maybe she got lost and would hear me calling. But she never came back. As the weeks turned into months, the case went cold. Flyers with her picture faded in the sun. The media moved on. People stopped calling. Except for one thing. Every year since then, I go back to that park on the 4th of July. I bring the same blanket. I sit under the same oak tree. I wait until the fireworks start. And every single year I hear it. There was a voice, faint, distant, but real. It was soft and far away, like it floated in from another world. It always comes from the trees. Mom? Just one word. Quiet, like a whisper carried on the wind. The first time I heard it, I thought I was losing my mind. But I wasn't the only one. One year, a teenager walking his dog near the woods told me he thought he heard someone calling too. Another year, a woman who didn't even know my story told me she felt like someone was watching us from the forest. It's always the same spot, same time, same word. I asked the police once if they thought it could mean something. They told me grief can do strange things to the mind. That sometimes when you want something badly enough, your brain creates it for you. But I know what I hear. I don't drink. I don't take anything. I go there clear-headed every year. And I hear her. I've stopped trying to explain it to people. They don't get it unless they've lost a child. Unless they know what it feels like to see your world vanish in the space of 10 seconds. I don't know if Chloe is alive. I don't know if she was taken or if something even darker happened. But part of me believes, or maybe just hopes, that her spirit is still out there. That whatever happened, her voice found a way to reach me. Maybe she's trapped somewhere calling for help. Maybe it's just an echo of her last memory. Maybe I'm just a mother who can't let go. But I'll keep going back. As long as I live, I'll be there every 4th of July. And I'll keep listening. Because maybe one day the voice won't stop at just one word. Maybe it'll say something more. Maybe she'll come walking out of those trees, grown up, confused, but safe. Until then, I wait, and I listen. I was just a kid when it happened, but people around here still whisper about it. The murder on Highway 76. July 4th, 1975. That was the night the Morgan family disappeared into South Carolina backwoods and only one of them came back. The Morgans were just passing through, husband, wife, and their teenage daughter. They were driving from Georgia to Myrtle Beach for the holiday weekend. Nothing unusual. The car was packed with snacks, beach chairs, a little radio playing soft rock. Somewhere near Florence, the father must have taken a wrong turn. He ended up on a rural stretch of Highway 76, mostly trees, fields, and rundown farmhouses. Back in the 70s, that road was quiet, the kind of place where the sky looks too big and the air feels too still. According to the police report, the family pulled over near a broken-down mailbox at the edge of a field. The car was found there the next morning. Doors wide open, blankets gone, cooler still full, and no sign of the family. About 6 miles from that spot, a trucker found the daughter. She was barefoot, covered in dried blood, walking along the shoulder like she didn't know where she was. Her name was Sarah. She was 16. When the driver tried to talk to her, she just stared straight ahead. Didn't blink. Didn't flinch. They took her to the hospital. Cleaned her up. Ran tests. She had no drugs in her system. No injuries except some deep scratches on her legs and arms, like she'd run through thick brush. She never spoke a word. Not that day. Not the day after. Not ever again. People tried everything. Psychiatrists, hypnosis, medications. She wouldn't talk, wouldn't write, wouldn't look anyone in the eye for more than a second. The blood on her? It wasn't just hers. It belonged to both her parents. What happened that night, no one knows for sure. But everyone around here has a theory. The official story was vague. Authorities believed the family stopped to rest near an abandoned farmhouse not far from the road. They assumed something, or someone, attacked them there. But the farmhouse wasn't just abandoned. It was known by the locals. The old Westcott place. People said it was cursed. That it had a bad history. Even back then, most folks avoided driving past it. Kids said they saw lights in the windows when no one was there. Some claimed the last family who lived there died in a fire that never got reported. The state tore it down not long after the Morgans disappeared. Quietly. No records. No press. One day it was standing. The next day it was just ashes and rubble. The sheriff's department said it was unsafe, and that's all they ever said. But people talked. They said Sarah must have seen something in that house. Something that drove her to run barefoot through 6 miles of woods and gravel. Something so bad she never spoke again. I talked to a nurse once, years later, who remembered treating her. She told me Sarah didn't react to anything until she heard the sound of fireworks outside the hospital window. When they started going off that night, Sarah covered her ears and curled into a ball on the floor. She didn't cry. She didn't scream. She just rocked back and forth, her eyes wide like she was reliving it all again. They had to sedate her. That 4th of July was her last one outside. She's still alive. She lives in a care facility now, somewhere upstate. I don't think many people visit her. The case was forgotten. No one in town wants to talk about it. They pretend it didn't happen. The new generation drives down Highway 76 without a second thought. But some of us remember. We remember what that place felt like. I drove past where the farmhouse used to be just once in the late 80s. There was nothing left but scorched earth left, along with a few shattered bricks scattered in silence. And yet, I swear I saw movement near the tree line. Just a flicker. Like someone ducking out of sight. Maybe it was just a deer. Or maybe, not at all. Maybe it was something watching. They say trauma can lock a person inside themselves. But what if it wasn't just trauma that silenced her? What if she saw something she was never meant to see? Something the state buried along with the ashes of that house? I don't know. But I do know this. Every 4th of July, when the fireworks start popping in the sky, I think about that girl. She was bloody from head to toe like something out of a nightmare. She was completely alone, like the world had ended behind her. Walking away from something no one was ever supposed to survive. And I wonder if somewhere deep inside her, that night is still playing on a loop. I wonder if she still hears the sound of the bottle rockets in her ears. If she sees flashes in the sky and thinks there's something else. If her silence isn't just fear but a shield, because speaking it aloud might bring it back. And maybe, just maybe, that's why the house was destroyed. Not because it was abandoned. Not because it was unsafe, but because something inside it didn't want to be remembered. And it made sure that the only witness would never speak again. I used to love the 4th of July. The cookouts and the neighbors gathering. The fireworks lighting up the sky while the kids ran around with sparklers in their hands. It was one of those holidays that made life in the suburbs feel alive. Like everything was safe and familiar. But after what happened in 2004, I stopped looking forward to it. We lived in a quiet neighborhood in Pennsylvania. Wide streets, trimmed lawns, the kind of place where people wave even if they don't know your name. That summer, we decided to host a small get-together for the 4th. Nothing big, just family, a few friends, some burgers on the grill, and fireworks when the sun went down. My wife, Dana, spent most of the day preparing snacks and setting up lawn chairs. Our 6-year-old son, Josh, had invited 2 kids from his preschool over. They chased each other through the sprinkler while we adults sat on the deck drinking beer and talking about vacation plans. It was a good night. The fireworks started around 9. The kids watched from the yard, faces glowing with each flash in the sky. I remember looking around, thinking how perfect it all felt. Like we were lucky just to be alive in that moment. Around 11, people started heading home. We hugged, laughed, and promised to meet again soon. By midnight, it was just the 3 of us inside the house, closing windows and turning off lights. I always check the security camera footage before bed, not because I expect anything bad, but it's become a habit over the years. We had one camera in the backyard facing the edge of the woods. Motion sensor lights were installed too, just in case. That night, something was off. I opened the app on my phone and noticed a recording that started around 9:36 p.m. The screen showed a man standing at the edge of our yard, half hidden in the shadows near the tree line. At first, I thought it was a trick of the light. But as I scrubbed through the footage, my stomach dropped. He didn't move. He stood completely still. He was just standing there, silently watching everything unfold. The strangest part? The motion-activated lights never turned on. Not once. He stayed there for over an hour. He stayed there, waiting without a single sound or movement. Just watching our house while we were all in the backyard, laughing, talking, completely unaware. I showed Dana. She gasped and covered her mouth. We called the police. They arrived about 20 minutes later, took statements and searched the yard. They found boot prints in the grass near the woods heading away from the house. But nothing else. No face. No fingerprints. Just a man who had come and gone without leaving a trace. The officer told us to keep our doors locked and call again if anything strange happened. That was it. But the real nightmare started a week later. It was early morning when Josh came into our room. He wasn't crying, just standing by the bed with a blank look on his face. I asked him what was wrong. He said in a flat voice I'll never forget, "Dad, the man from the backyard tapped on my window last night." I sat up straight. I asked what he meant. Josh pointed toward his room. He said he woke up because he heard a soft tapping. When he looked, a man was outside the glass, crouched low so only his eyes and the top of his head were visible. He didn't break the glass, didn't try to open it. He just tapped and waited. He stayed there, waiting without a single sound or movement. And then Josh said the man smiled and whispered. Then he whispered those words, quiet but chilling in the night. "Don't tell anyone." That was all. Just those 3 words. I ran to Josh's room, heart pounding, but there was nothing outside. No footprints this time. No signs of forced entry. Just the wind moving through the trees. We filed another police report. They said maybe it was a dream. Maybe our son saw the footage we had watched and his mind filled in the rest. But he hadn't seen the footage. We never showed it to him. And there was one more thing. His window was on the 2nd floor. There was no ladder. No porch roof to stand on. No tree branch close enough to reach it. And yet he was sure. He described the man exactly as we had seen on the camera. Dark jacket. Pale face. No facial hair. Just eyes that didn't blink. Dana couldn't sleep after that. Neither could I. We installed new cameras, replaced all the locks, and bought a heavy-duty security system. But the sense of safety never came back. We started pulling Josh into our room at night. He didn't ask questions. He just curled up between us and stared at the ceiling, wide-eyed, until he drifted off. We never saw the man again. Not on the cameras. Not in the woods. Not outside any window. But that feeling, the sense that someone was watching us, never really left. The police closed the case after a few weeks. They called it an isolated incident. Said there was no evidence of a break-in, no repeat offenses in the area. But we knew better. Someone had been out there, watching our house for over an hour while we were distracted by fireworks and laughter. Someone had gotten close enough to whisper through the window of a 2nd-floor room. And he didn't want to be seen. He never triggered the lights. He left no prints the 2nd time. He didn't take anything. He just watched. He was just standing there, silently watching everything unfold. He stayed perfectly still, never moving a muscle in the fading light. He kept watching us, always silent, always unseen. And I wonder if he ever left. Or if he just found another family. Another backyard. Another child to whisper to.